Okay, good morning. Okay, so I am going to cover chapter 2 today in Nuclear War Survival Skills, the book by Cresson H. Kearny, with authorization from Skyhorse Publishing. It's only a couple of pages, so this will be a real quick video. But it's chapter 2, Psychological Preparations. All right, so okay, let's get started. All right, chapter 2, Psychological Preparations. Learning what to expect. The more one knows about the strange and fearful dangers from nuclear weapons and about the strengths and weaknesses of human beings when confronted with the dangers of war, the better chance one has of surviving. Terror, a self-destructive emotion, is almost always the result of unexpected danger. Some people would think the end of the world was upon them if they happened to be in an area downwind from surface bursts of nuclear weapons that sucked millions of tons of pulverized earth into the air. They might give up all hope if they did not understand what they saw. People are more likely to endure and survive if they learn in advance that such huge dust clouds, particularly if combined with smoke from great fires, may turn day into night, as have some volcanic eruptions and the large forest fires. People also should expect thunder to crash in strange clouds and the earth to shake. The sky may be lit with flickering purples and greens of artificial auroras caused by nuclear explosions, especially those that are miles above the earth. Fear. Fear often is a life-saving emotion. When we believe death is close at hand, fear can increase our ability to work harder and longer. Driven by fear, we can accomplish feats that would be impossible otherwise. Trembling hands, weak legs, and cold sweat do not mean that a person has become ineffective. Doing hard, necessary work is one of the best ways to keep one's fears under control. Brave men and women who are self-confident admit their fears, even when the threat of death is remote. Then they plan and work to lessen the causes of their fears. When the author helped Charles A. Lindbergh design a reinforced concrete blast shelter for his family and neighbors, Lindbergh frankly admitted that he feared both nuclear attack and being trapped. He was able to lessen both of these fears by building an excellent blast shelter with 2 escape openings. Terror. If the danger is unexpected enough or great enough, normal persons sometimes experience terror as well as fear. Terror prevents the mind from evaluating dangers and thinking logically. It develops in 2 stages, which have been described by Dr. Waldo von Gregers, a physician with much war experience, in his book, Psychology of Survival. The first stage is apathy. People become indifferent to their own safety and are unable even to try to save themselves or their families. The second stage is a compulsion to flee. Anxiety, fear, and terror can result in symptoms very similar to those caused by radiation injury: nausea, vomiting, extreme trembling, diarrhea. Dr. von Gregers has described terror as being explosively contagious. However, persons who learn to understand the nature of our inherent human traits and behavior and symptoms are less likely to become terrorized and ineffective in the event of a nuclear attack. Emotional paralysis. The most common reaction to great danger is not terror, but a kind of numbing of the emotions which actually may be helpful. Dr. von Gregers calls this emotional paralysis. This reaction allows many persons, when in the grip of great danger, to avoid being overwhelmed by compassionate emotions and horrible sights. It permits them to think clearly and act effectively. Atom bomb survivors. The atomic explosion that destroyed most of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were airbursts and therefore produced no deadly local fallout. So we cannot be sure how people would behave in areas subjected to both blast and fallout from surface bursts. However, the reactions of the Japanese survivors are encouraging, especially in view of the survivors. Especially in view of the fact that among them, the relative number of horribly burned people was greater than is likely to be found among a population that expects a nuclear attack and takes any sort of shelter. Dr. von Gregers summarizes, in most cases, the victims were, of course, apathetic and often incapable of rational action, but often panic or extremely but open panic or extremely disorganized behavior occurred only in exceptional cases among the hundreds of thousands of survivors of the 2 atomic bombing attacks. Also encouraging, serious permanent psychological derangements were rare after the atomic bomb attacks, just as they were after the large-scale conventional bombings. Help from fellow Americans. Some maintain that after an atomic attack, America would degenerate into anarchy, and every man for himself struggle for existence. They forget the history of great human catastrophes and the self-sacrificing strengths most human beings are capable of displaying. After a massive nuclear attack, starvation would afflict some areas, but America's grain-producing regions would still have an abundance of uncontaminated food. History indicates that Americans in food-rich areas would help the starving, like the heroic Russians who drove food trucks to starving Leningrad through bursting Nazi bombs and shells. Many Americans would risk radiation and other dangers to bring truckloads of grain and other necessities to their starving countrymen. Excuse me. Surely an essential part of psychological preparations for surviving a modern war is well-founded assurance that many citizens of a strong society will struggle to help each other and will work together with little regard for danger and loss. It's a encouraging chapter for sure. So yeah, and I'll do chapter 3 next, warnings and communications. Okay, and again, showing the cover, Nuclear War Survival Skills by Cresson H. Kearny. Read through with permission from Skyhorse Publishing. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.